viewers, and welcome to another episode of Wine. I'm Jenilyn, and I'm drinking a New Belgium Juicy Haze IPA. It's a beer. Switching it up.
I'm Shirley, and I'm drinking Cabernet Sauvignon by St. Regis.
I'm Tia. I'm drinking Burlwood Cellars Chardonnay.
I'm Miska, and I'm drinking Seagram's Ginger Ale because I don't feel so great.
You don't have to have a reason.
I'm Trace, and I'm drinking Don Simon Selection Sparkling Wine Fruit.
Okay, sounds great. Today on our podcast, we will be discussing the Women's March. Before we start, I'm going to say a quick disclaimer. If you happen to be listening to us on your way to work, maybe you're driving, maybe you're somewhere you shouldn't be drinking. So don't pour yourself a glass of wine. And maybe you're underage. Also don't pour yourself a glass of wine. But if you're not driving home and you're home sitting somewhere comfy, go ahead and pour yourself your favorite glass, and always remember to drink responsibly. So relax and join us for wine. Now let's get sipping. So, as we know, the Women's March happened again last Saturday. Women's March was created last year, which was the first Women's March. And it was created to advocate women's rights, the reproductive rights, human rights, etc., which also coincided with number 45 being elected. So a lot of women were enraged that a known sexual harasser was chosen to lead our country. So they decided to organize this amazing march, and they did it after his inauguration. And I believe their crowds were a lot bigger than his inauguration crowds, which he believes that was really huge. It wasn't. So a year later, on the anniversary of the first march, we marched again in different cities across the US and also different countries around the world. I posted a CNN article, which we'll link to later, but it was a bunch of photos of the marches throughout the US and around the world. And it was really cool to see like how many people have shown up to these marches and how big it's grown. So the message is still the same, but this year I think it focused a lot on the hashtag #MeToo movement, Timed Up, and also Power to the Polls, which I saw a lot, which was basically encouraging women to run, since we know that this year is going to be a big election year. So for women to run for office, and also to make sure that we register to vote and make sure other women are registered to vote, because as we know, women turn up to voting, and you know, they actually make a huge difference when it comes to a lot of these elections. So I'll just touch base on my experience. I went this year in the St. Louis March, and I think my first impression was that it's ginormous. Like, I didn't think, you see it in pictures, but then actually being there felt really crazy because there was a lot of people, and there was like a really good diverse amount of people, like from as far as like ages and like ethnicities. It was really cool to see. And it was a little overwhelming and a little tiring, but the thing that I got of it was very inspiring and empowering to see a lot of these women. And plus the signs were amazing to see. And then also, I think a lot of it too was how many women were against our president, which is crazy to me that we have this, like, such a big group of like women, and some and men were there too, that just detest our president and make a mockery of him, which is very sad on our end. So yeah, so I guess I just had a couple questions for you ladies as well. This is how you felt about the march and how you think it impacts society.
I'll be really interested to see how long it goes on, like how many years. Like, is this going to only be while he's president? Because realistically and honestly, him being president is not like him when he stops being president, that's not going to change the systemic issues surrounding, you know, what these women are marching for. So I wonder how long the movement will keep going, and also in what ways it'll spread out, meaning in what ways will it be more than just a once a year occasion. That's what I'm like, okay, so now that we're in the second year, like what's next, you know? And how can I get involved like on a regular level, not just marching every January 20th.
I'm interested to see if the polls will reflect the outward display of this, because as I recall, last year they did not, or we would not be here regarding the current president. So, you know, I've always had mixed feelings about it just because of the sheer amount of a certain demographic of women who chose Trump anyway, aside, over their womanhood or rights or whatever. We've talked about this on the show. So I'm interested to see in the midterms. Is that this year? This fall?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
it is.
how, if that changes, as well as our next election, and if all this is to be cute and for show or whatever, which is fine, but are we going to put like our voting behind wanting to secure our rights or not?
For me, what my fear is that being at the march, you get really inspired and you get like really hyped up about the cause, especially like with people chanting and you're like in the middle of it and you're like, yeah, I totally want this change. Like we had one of these guys, like really gruffy, loud man shouting like her body, her choice. And then like the women around him would chant back, my body, my choice. And like, it was so cool. But like hearing all these speakers talk, you get really inspired. But then like, including me, I came home, I was exhausted. I had my rest of my weekend, and then here we are Monday. It's like another, you know, business as usual. How do you use that momentum from the march and not just use that one day to continue on fighting the good fight? Because I feel like it kind of just like, it hits the climax of the march, you build up to this amazing march, and then it kind of, you know, slowly goes downhill. So I don't know how you keep that up. That's my concern for it.
So because the theme originally before Time's Up and Me Too, like the theme originally was power to the polls, were there people out there like educating people about voting and voter suppression laws and even registering to vote at least?
So a lot of the speakers at the end were really advocating, like making sure you vote. There were a couple of people doing like, they're running for whatever like local office and this doing their advertisements, but I didn't feel like I saw a lot of people like promoting how to register. There are a lot of marijuana bills to sign that I was asked like 1,000 times, but I didn't see a lot of like voting stuff. There are a lot of signs for it, but maybe there wasn't, I just didn't see it.
Because I think that would be my fear, like similar to what Charlie was saying about like just not showing up when for Trump being president, but just showing like if the overall thing was power to the polls, like this was the time to gain the momentum, and then now is the time to start educating people about voter suppression laws and getting registered, getting people registered to vote. Like there are a lot of young people who I didn't know because I listened to a podcast where a lot of young people don't even know how to vote or how to register to vote or anything like that, because most states don't have the automatic voter registration tied in when you go get your license or renew your license or update your ID when you turn 18. So I think they can use this momentum to kind of start pushing that, and then maybe do another march, which would include voter registration stuff. I know Chance the Rapper did that in Chicago. He like led a march to go register to vote and to the polls to vote. I forgot what the actual turnout was, but I thought that would help with the momentum, like with keeping it going, since that's something that we have. And I know people, I don't know specifically or how many women are running for elections for 2018, but I did hear it was a not a historic number, but a great number. So if we want that like support, and we want at some point the Republicans to get out of the House and the Senate so we can take back the majority, we'll need that. Yeah, so I didn't go to the march, but I watched on CNN all day and then some Fox News stuff. But I heard Viola Davis' speech, and she gave me chills because she's Viola Davis and she's fucking awesome. But it was just kind of cool to see like her giving her speech in LA, and then they had like the different screens of all the, even though I didn't go to the march, but like I saw all the different like cities all over the country, people galvanizing. I thought that was cool to see.
I forget where I saw it, but there was somebody who was talking about what one of you guys just said, which is, I think it was Miska. Are people just showing up now to be cute, and then once election time comes, they'll vote a different way than they need to? And they were talking about how women of color in these past elections have shown up and shown that they are not for Trump, even though, and they're like, you know, shit on the most because of race and gender, which I think kind of ties in with somebody in a certain industry who doesn't have, who basically got shortchanged, possibly because of an intersection, because of race and gender.
I wonder too, like, because I know last year there was some controversy about who could march. Like certain women weren't, like women who were pro-choice or pro-life, not pro-life, not pro-choice. Stuff like pro-choice was the movement majority, but pro-life, like they couldn't attend because they felt like they didn't have a voice, and they couldn't. Someone told them that they couldn't attend the rally because it wasn't for them. Stuff. It was like a lot of controversy last year around it, even with surrounding like the LGBTQ, like the trans community, as well, like certain language they were using. So even like calling, you might want to edit this out, but like even calling it pussy hats like was an issue. It was just a lot last year, so it was nice. It's nice to see that it's more. I didn't see as much drama as it was last year. Like I'm seeing that it's more of everybody kind of coming together to support this cause and this movement.
Yeah, I feel like this year is a little bit more all-inclusive, but I did see some pro-life marchers within the St. Louis March, and then there was also a trans woman who was one of our speakers as well. So
that's cool.
Maybe that was like one big stride to make it a little bit inclusive this year. Yeah. So I think that's one thing to take away from it is that, you know, women shouldn't step on women. Like that's not the message of the Women's March. The overall message I took away from it is that, you know, women's rights are human rights. So we deserve our equality and our right to do with what we want to do with our own body. And that number 45 shouldn't be president. Those were my big keys from that.
He should go. He should
go away. Yeah. They had great signs though. There was a poop emoji with like Donald Trump's hair on it. That one cracked me up. There was a Harry Potter one saying like, in a world of Voldemorts, we need more Hermiones in the world. There was one Viva la Vulva. There were some great, like women are fucking creative. Like there were some really great puns out there for the posters, but they were just really great like posters to look at. But yeah, it was a fun movement, fun experience to go to. Thank you for listening to another episode of Wine. You can find our podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, and Google Play. You can also follow us and like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wine Podcast with an S. So please visit us. You have no excuse because we gave you everything that we have. So rate, review, and subscribe. We appreciate any feedback, really anything. We don't care what you have to say.
Well,
that's what's coming out of my mouth. I'm like, that's not right.
I care a little bit.
We care about what you say, and we really want to hear it. So please give us feedback. We appreciate anything. We want to know how we're doing. We want to know how you're doing. So give us some
What
feedback.
you're drinking.
What you're drinking.
What you want us to talk about. What would
How was
you
your
whine
day?
about? You know? Was it raining on your drive home?
Was
Are
it
you a
snowing?
commuter? Do you have a long commute?
What's your social security number?
Do you have any rich uncles?
All of the above. So
Yes.
please find us on social media and subscribe, rate, and review. All right, thanks for listening.
Bye.
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 Bye.